Listen to the vibes.
The views and opinions of our guests may not necessarily reflect those of the host or the Vibes Broadcast Network. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes, and I'm very happy to have Miss Erica Bigelow here with me, and she is a life coach, and we're going to learn about her and about what she does, and hopefully she can help you. So let's kick this off. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. So yes, like you mentioned, I am a life coach. I've been in practice for probably about 3 years now, 3.5 years. But yeah, I'm a life coach, and my niche is self-love and self-confidence, just kind of trying to help people find their worth and go from there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've had different life coaches on, and everyone has some kind of niche that they like to use. I don't even know where to start because there's so many folks with different ideals. But when you go in and you help someone, what exactly do you do to bring that confidence?
So unfortunately, the way the brain works is that our subconscious stores a lot of things. Mm-hmm. So first we need to build that awareness. Mm-hmm. Let's see what's going on. If there's a lot of self-doubting or lack of confidence, it's usually stemmed from something that happened in childhood, unfortunately. Those little talks that maybe mom or dad or grandma may have said, not being worth anything, or you're not going to be much of anything, those things stick. And it will show up in your later life. Even if people say, oh, I forgot about it. The truth is yeah, your conscious mind has, but your subconscious stores it. So when you try to do something or step outside of the box, which might be need some encouragement or anything like that, that's when that self-talk and self-doubt will come in and then talk to you and basically say you're not good enough to make you want to go for it. So what we do is, I call it the onion peel. We peel back some layers, see what's going on. Where did the lack of confidence start? Get through those emotions and then try to move them forward. Well,
I always try to stay as transparent as I can because I know there's somebody out there that's gone through the same things that I have. For me, I guess it would have started, I was molested when I was about 8 years old. And it continued for, I don't know, a year or two. And I got picked on quite a bit at school. I'm not talking about just the regular teasing. I'm talking about bullied. And but I grew to trying to, I guess I would say, well, like most people, I don't want to be a victim, right. And I refuse to be a victim. But there's still those insecurities that I have to get past, and I'm my own worst critic. I just feel like I can never do anything good enough, even though my wife and other people around me say, oh, this is really, really good. And I tell myself, this really sucks. They're just trying to be nice, you know? So how would I get past that?
So the funny thing is that I'm even starting with my 6-year-old son, and I find him trying to say little things like, oh, I'm stupid, or I'm not good enough. And I immediately respond to him and ask him, would you speak to one of your friends this way? Would that be something that you would say to one of your best friends? And clearly the answer is no. So what you need to do is start treating yourself like you treat other people. Would you tell whatever the negative self-talk is, you stop to yourself, think about it like, okay, so this clearly is a negative thought. Would I say this to my wife or my best friend? And you're probably going to say no. So if it's not worthy of them to, why is it worthy for you to say to yourself?
Okay. And it seems like I blame myself for everything that goes wrong too. And someone told me a while back that it was kind of egotistical for me to think that I have that kind of power, that I can cause everything in the world to go wrong. And I mean, that makes sense, but in my mind, I'm like, I'm this lowly person that just has bad luck, over their head all the time.
So it's a mindset. Honestly, what you think is what you produce. So if you're thinking that everything is bad and negative, then guess what? That's what's going to be attracted. You're going to have a harder day. But if you also go into that day thinking like, okay, I stubbed my toe, but is that going to be the rest of my day? Or am I going to rub my toe, give myself what I need, and then not let it affect the rest of my day?
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? It's really a mindset. And the thing is that our mind is so powerful. If we just learned how to use them, we would all be in good boats. It's just the fact is we have these programs that have been programmed in our brains before, when we were younger, not conscious of what was happening, and now it's affecting, and now we need to reprogram our brains to think in a more positive thought process that you can.
I noticed something else that I do this quite often when I accomplish something. It's almost like I need a reassurance that I did a good job, and so I do this to my wife, and I know it's got to be aggravating at times. But let's take, for example, I usually make cookies for her to take to work every week. And the people up there love my cookies. And I try different recipes and things like that. I love baking. And I'm always like, oh, well, are there cookies left? And what are people saying? And I keep doing that over and over again, even after she's told me they're wonderful.
That they all love them.
Yes. And I'll still later on say, are you sure all of them, they all like them? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Because you're in your thought thinking like they can't like them. My cookies can't be that good. Who am I to make those cookies? And the truth is, when I first started my life coaching business, I thought to myself that same exact thought, but obviously in a different thought process. Like, who am I to tell someone else anything? Like, I don't have my shit together. Who am I?
Right.
But the truth is, gifts are given to us, and we need to realize what those gifts are and enhance them. Don't say you're not good enough. Clearly you have a chef or a baking thumb, or like, they say a green thumb, but yours is a baking thing. So I don't understand why your cookies can't be good enough.
That's what I say. I don't know. I have to hear that over and over again before I actually start to believe, oh, well, maybe they really are that good. But,
okay, so do you see what's happening here? Everybody else believes in you, but you don't believe in you. So you're going to continue to need that reassurance from everyone else because you don't believe in yourself. Once you start to believe in yourself, it's nice to hear it, but you don't need it.
Well, I do that with everything. I like to paint and draw and things like that. And the pictures are never good enough. I usually end up throwing most of my drawings away because I get so disgusted with them. And I hate being that way. And it's got to make me look bad too, to be in that mindset all the time of, please reassure me. And same thing with my podcast. I'll have a great guest on, and I'll have people comment and tell me how great it was. And I'm thinking, God, I did this wrong. I did that wrong. I always look for the things that I've done wrong and not for the things that I did right.
So what would it look like for you to give yourself a pat on the back and say, you know what, you actually did a really good job on that?
That's where I start feeling like maybe I'm too big for my britches, I guess.
No, but you have to celebrate your wins, right? Because then all you're ever pinpointing is all the negative things you're doing wrong or what you could be doing better. But what about the things that you are doing right?
Well, you don't think that maybe underneath that I am egotistical and that I'm just trying to hide the fact that I am?
Our conversation has been very short. There would be questions that I would ask before that I would make that assumption. But you know who you are truly inside. I can't tell you who that is. Your wife can't tell you who that is. No one can tell you who you are more than you.
Right.
So if you are trying to mask something or hide it, it's going to show up anyways. So you're not doing yourself any justice. You should just be true to who you are. And if that is egotistical, it doesn't mean you can't get help to be better. Of question, why are you that way? Why do you feel like you have to be that way? Is that your comfort zone? Is that your safe zone so no one will hurt you?
And see, that's something else that I come to grips with is whenever I was bombarded with anything negative, it seems like that I knew the outcome for that. You know, I always knew what was going on when I was told I wasn't good enough, or whatever the situation was. And getting to a point of actually succeeding, it's almost as if I'm going into uncharted territory.
It's uncomfortable.
Right.
So normal is toxic and negative. So anything outside of that, you're like, oh, no, that doesn't feel like the same thing. So let me go back over here.
Yes.
But do you know that uncomfortable makes people better?
So I've been told.
Yeah, you can't be comfortable, because if you are comfortable, there's no need to change. When you're uncomfortable, you're like, okay, I need to now do some reflecting. Take a look in the mirror. What are there things that I can work on? I'm pretty sure your wife has said a couple things here and there, and you could have, dusted it off like, yeah, you're mad. Or you could really think about it and say, am I the way she's saying? Or is this what happened? And then question your action, and if there's something you can do better on your end. Because we can't change anyone else, right? The only people we can change and control is us. So to go see what your wife is doing wrong or what your friends are doing wrong, there's no point in that. That's a waste of your time. The time needs to be spent on you. What is it that I'm giving back when they do this? What can I do better to be a better husband or friend?
And I will say, she doesn't hold back. If you've done something,
oh, good,
she'll let you know.
I love those.
Yeah, she doesn't sugarcoat
we have a mouth to speak, and no, honestly, and honestly, sometimes when people pierce your heart in negative ways, sometimes it helps us realize, like, oh, there might be something there that I need to investigate, even though you don't want to hear it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People out there that are similar to me, or whatever problems they have, they go to a therapist, and of course they love to pump drugs in you. And I actually got off a lot of those medications, got into meditating instead of medicating. And it's helped me. But I try to stress, I'm not a doctor. Don't just do something just because I said I did it. You get help. But my question is, do you work like alongside therapists to help people, or is this kind of a separate thing?
Well, so life coaching and therapy is a little different. We don't medicate, we don't advise, like, we're not doctors to advise or give out medication. But at the same time, sometimes my clients come to me and they have a therapist, and we do work alongside, but then sometimes we don't. Sometimes if I get involved and I see that it could be a little further, or they do need a little bit more help, I will advise maybe seeking a therapist alongside with me and being on the same page with them.
Oh, that's got to be really good for the client
Yeah.
Do you write books or anything, or are you just strictly speaking and doing life coaching?
Yeah, no books yet. I don't know what the future may hold. I'm just kind of going with the wind. Wherever it takes me, I'm going. But no, doing the one-on-one life coaching is my main priority right now, but also doing speaking engagements as well.
And you do mostly virtual, or is it kind of half and half? Or
no, all of it right now is virtual.
Yeah. So nobody wants to get out and because of what's going on in the world, but I guess
also, I don't really have a lot of clients that live in my location. I have clients all over the world, so the virtual really works well.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm kind of curious, how far off have you talked to people?
Like where in the world? I have a couple clients from India. I have a client in Canada. I have 2 clients from South Africa. I think that's pretty much it. Africa and India are pretty busy.
Oh, wow.
Because their culture life is really strict. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I I would never be able to have those clients or touch their lives the way I have if, Zoom or the COVID didn't happen. So I'm actually really happy.
It was kind of a blessing in disguise, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Now,
hmm
speaking of different cultures, do you have to approach people and how you help them differently, say, from one culture to the next, or is it pretty much the same?
Mm-mm. It's unique by person.
Okay. Okay.
No two people. I can't say two people are the same. Like, um, the life coaching job is very emotionally, and you need to be able to read people's body language, what works for them, what doesn't work for them. One thing might work for one client and something else might be too much for another client, or moving them too quickly or too slowly.
Hmm. That it's always kind of fascinated me. 'Cause I like to help people, and which was the
hmm
main purpose of doing the show. So I love to help people. Um, what actually would motivate you to decide to do something like this?
So I'm very religious,
Oh, good, good, good.
and I feel like God has always been tugging me
Mm,
on helping or doing some impacting some way, right? I've always had an insight on things um, a little more than normal. If that makes any sense. So I was kind of weird or didn't fit in really much because my outlook on life was a little different than the normal kids or my age group.
mm,
Um, but I didn't know it would be life coaching. I thought it would be like I had dreams of doing like covenant homes for people that needed a safe place to go,
yeah.
other ways of doing it. But this ended up being where I am now. Um, and I think this is my seat. I just feel like I found my purpose.
How much does the religion itself factor into what you do, or is you try to keep that as neutral as possible?
Well, right. So, okay. So let's say you're a client. I
Mm-hmm.
never impose my beliefs on you whatsoever.
Oh, of
Nothing.
course, of course.
Not what I believe about love, religion, day-to-day things, nothing. So it's pretty much your session. I'm just asking questions that allow you to think deeper than you would normally.
Mm. Yeah. I don't know. I like to kind of get to the meat of it all, I guess you'd say, when it comes to different people and how they approach it. I'm a very spiritual person myself. I actually used to preach,
Oh,
so
nice.
God's been a big part of it. And I think when you are a spiritual person, you're kind of drawn to helping others, that serving
That's our
others.
purpose. Yeah. We're
Exactly.
servants. Yeah.
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 Um, that I think that's been the biggest factor of why I'm doing what I'm doing is since I don't preach anymore, God says I'm not finished with you yet. I got other things
Right.
for you to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So this might be it, and that's the thing is like you had enough confidence in yourself to go out there. This is a big deal to put your voice out there, to have something to say and let other people critique it. Right. So that's huge. So you should be congratulating yourself just on that alone. Exactly. Start doing that more often. I'm not saying take all the credit. You know where the credit comes from,
Oh
right?
yes,
So,
definitely.
if the clients say to me all the time, Erica, you've changed my life. I was at a really dark place. I don't know if I would even be here. I
Hmm.
can't take that as my win, right? I can simply say I'm just the vessel that left the
That's
message that he had for you, right? So it's
exactly.
not me. It's just he used me and gave me the wisdom that I need to help those people. So
Yes,
it's not that you're thinking that you're God or you're better than anyone. It's just that you know your place and your purpose and what he gave you. And
that's
that's
right.
just what it is.
That's right. Use me any way you can. That's what I
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Well, with the world being so negative, and it seems like a lot of people's confidence is kind of just faltered for some reason. I don't know what's in the air that's causing people to act this way or to feel this way. I've noticed depression seems to be on the rise. People doing self-harm. We had two people that ended themselves in our last neighborhood we lived in,
Oh
and
no.
it's scary. And I just feel like we need to bring as much positivity in the world as we can. So someone that does life coaching, I don't think folks understand how important that really is.
Yeah, I've told a couple people I'm a life coach, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, but that's okay.
Right.
I don't need them to understand. This is me and God's relationship. I know what He's saying to me. I know where He has me going, and I don't need anyone else to understand it. It's not their journey, it's mine. So it's totally fine. If I know when I get off a call that I've helped someone or made their life just a little bit easier, that's where my success comes from. Nothing no other human can say.
Oh, of course. Well, we need to help people as much as we can. We need to bring some
Mhm.
love back into this world. And
We need to. It's really dark.
the sad thing is, and I don't want to get political at all, but you notice that there's a small majority on social media that they say things to try to separate us, I think.
Mm.
And yet I go out to the store. My wife and I, we had to go to Houston this last weekend, and I go in the store, and it doesn't matter who the person is, what religion they are, what the color of their skin is. It doesn't matter. We just have great conversation, and you smile at each other, and
Mhm.
I just don't
Mhm.
feel like everybody in the world feels the way this small majority on the internet feels.
Yeah, no. Unfortunate. But you said you're very close. You have a good relationship with God, so you already know who's in charge right
That's
now
right.
and what His
Mhm,
purpose is to do is
mhm.
to divide and conquer, right?
Exactly. That's the problem.
And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we have a lot of people that are lost and don't know their way. So they're just going with whatever trend or whatever the majority says.
You hit the nail right on the head with a hammer right there.
Mhm.
It Yeah, I don't like the direction the world's going in. We had, it's funny. When I was growing up, things were a lot different in the 70s. There was love around, but there was still a lot of hatred. And I
Mhm.
noticed the older I got that a lot of the hatred would kind of fall off, and you'd have more acceptance and things like that. And then
Mhm.
now it seems like we're going right back to the way it was before.
Mhm.
Everyone's come so far, now we're going backwards.
Yeah.
Is that what you
Yeah.
see?
I think um I think the goal is to cause confusion, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
we just cause a bunch of chaos and throw a bunch of bombs everywhere, everybody's going to just be running around like crazy people, not knowing what's right or wrong. And I think that's what's happening. You know, these people that our kids are looking up to, or my kid is looking up to, are lost. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no morals or values there that are being taught, and
That's
so
right.
if we think it's bad now, only imagine what's going to be in the next 10-15 years.
Yeah, I fear for my grandchildren. Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel for my son. um that's why what I do, so I even want to take it as far as speaking in schools, elementary, junior highs and high schools, just to
Mm-hmm.
get to the kids as soon as possible, right? Because the
Yes.
longer it goes, the more damage is done and more help is being needed. And um, I don't know where this is going to end up.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but me personally, I don't think teachers have any business talking about their sex life and all that other stuff
Yeah,
in school.
yeah, it's too
Um,
much too early.
exactly.
Hmm.
When you get older, I mean, you got plenty of time to be an adult. Let me tell
Yeah,
you. So
Yes.
don't grow up too fast. There's no reason an 8-year-old needs to know about sexualities and all that.
Yeah, none of that. I think it's being pumped, but now, so I have a 6-year-old son, and we watch Disney movies, and the things that are being taught in those movies, I'm like, why?
Mhm.
What is the what's the real purpose for you to even start planting that seed for that idea?
Exactly. That there's some kind of agenda behind it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's sad but true.
Well, what better way to control people but to make them dependent on the government and all that? They think the
Yeah.
government's going to be the answer to everything, and I'm sorry,
Mhm.
it's not. It's people getting together, loving each other, saying we're not going to put up with this garbage anymore. Let's you know, I have an old soul, and I love everything old fashioned. You know, people ask me about country music. I like the old country music,
Right.
the old days, Hank
Yeah.
Williams Sr. and Buck Owens and all that. And,
Okay.
that's me. And even the rock music that I listen to, it's all that stuff from, the 50s and 60s, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And even the television,
Yeah.
I don't have cable anymore.
Mm.
We do have some streaming services, but I like watching cooking shows and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. And if I like to watch television, yeah, I like watching the Andy Griffith and
Yeah.
I Love Lucy and all that stuff that I remember as a kid. It's nothing but garbage, and they're pumping all this into our children.
Yeah.
Our children are gone astray. Everything that
Yeah.
was good is now evil, and everything that was evil
Mhm.
is now good.
Yeah. Right.
It's the only way to put it.
Yeah. No, it's true. And it's very unfortunate because they're going to miss out on what life is really supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I guess you kind of find yourself trying to unravel all that stuff and kind of tear that part away from people, don't you?
Yeah, it's just the worldly part of them.
Mm-hmm. We're in the world, but
Maybe,
not of the world.
yeah. The more attached you are, the more foreseeable problem.
Mm. Which is why I'm glad seeing some people getting rid of Disney channels and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of all that mess. Let's get back to,
Yeah.
sitting around the family table and having conversations and
Right.
playing games and
Kids these days, please, you can't get the phone out of their hand for more than 5 minutes.
I know it's always this.
Mm-hmm. You're like, how was school? Wait, what? And I'm like, no, let's talk about school. No, I can't. Give me a minute, So yeah, no, it's crazy. And that's the thing. Like you said, pumping love back into the world is so important because I really think that people don't love or feel anymore. They're just robots. They just are on autopilot and just trying to survive and not actually living.
You're exactly right. And whatever happened to getting rid of labels? Now everybody wants a label.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's almost as if they think that people can't get along just because they have differences between them. And
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I mean, I don't
Well,
remember even.
no, it's a place. It's the reason for it is to have, everybody needs to have envy and greed and want more and be better. And, so you have to have labels to keep the competition.
Exactly. What are your exercises that you use to help people?
Meditation is huge for me.
Oh yeah.
Meditation is huge. I was very afraid of meditation because it's what it's taught, like, idle mind is the devil's playground. But
Mm-hmm.
you can meditate on the right things and get what you need. Jesus meditated, right? They forgot to tell you that part. He sat on
Right.
top of the mountain and meditated, and that's how he got closer and heard his voice louder. So why would that be left out of church or taught to us?
Yeah.
because they want the voice to be lower and lower and lower until you cannot hear it anymore.
Well, I said I didn't want to get political, but it sounds like I am. But some of the churches have just they've tried to become part of the world, and they're not teaching like they're supposed to. They're not preaching like they're supposed to. I'm not gonna lie, I love listening to rock music, but if I'm going to church, I don't want to feel like I'm going to a rock concert and not to church. Which
But music, what you watch, what you hear, all of it, you have to pay attention to what that is, because a lot of times too, sometimes the music subconsciously is putting in your brain
true.
not good things.
That's true.
So it gets you all rah, you're on edge, you're already ready for war, and nothing's even happening. And you're like, what? Why do I feel so stressed? Probably because of the music you're listening to or the show you probably just watched.
That's true. And I'm not saying anything bad. If people like rap music, that's fine. I don't particularly care for it myself, but I would listen to not me personally listening to it. It's just you can't help it when somebody else is listening to it, and you hear them always talking about me. I'm the best. I've got this many women, or I've had this many men, and blah blah blah. I shot this person, and I'm doing drugs and drinking and all this stuff. And I mean, it's in some of the rock music too. I'm not gonna lie, it's in some of the rock music as well. I don't particularly like that kind of stuff. I like something that has a meaning behind it. Or sometimes just
uplifting,
be happy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, uplifting.
And you get bombarded with this stuff. Our children are bombarded with this, and we can't keep our eyes on them 24/7.
Right.
And so they get around other kids, and you know how it is as a kid. The things you're not supposed to do, you went
are
out
the coolest things. Yep.
Don't play with matches, but we're out there starting little fires and stuff, that kind of garbage. And but it's being, like you said, it's pumped into you so much, it's in your subconscious. How do you get past all that?
You can reprogram. Like I said, your brain is like a muscle. Just like if you started to work out at the gym, if you had no muscle there, after training it, the muscle gets stronger and stronger. Your brain is just the same way, but whatever you're pumping in, that's what it's going to pump out. So if you're pumping in negative, it's going to pump out negative. If you're pumping in positive, positive comes out.
So do you kind of go along with the law of attraction then?
I do, but mine is more of a spiritual. I think the law of attraction tries to do it more scientifically, but I know where that scientifically comes from.
Right.
So, it just is what it is. Whatever your mindset is on, that's what you're going to attract.
Right.
It is what it is. Like karma, I just believe what you give is what you get. So if you do good, good comes back. And I've been a believer and I've seen it happen. The more I pump out good things, my life has just been in line. I haven't missed anything. I'm not missing out on anything. And I made a big leap. I was in the corporate world, and during COVID, I was like, you know what? That's not fulfilling. I feel like I'm not being used to my full potential. Like half of me is just there, it's like autopilot. I need to be thinking. I need to be using my brain. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to pull down to part-time on my corporate world. And ever since, I haven't missed a meal or a rent payment. So
amen to that.
Yeah.
All right. So Erica, I come to you and I say, look, I need some confidence. I need to change my life and turn things around. I'm going to use me as an example because, I don't want to use anybody else, but I'm one that I try to avoid drama as much as possible.
Okay.
One of the things I think that aggravates my wife is I don't ask a lot of questions when I'm talking to people. Well, what about this? What about this? I don't know. Well, why didn't you ask him? I don't know. I just don't do that. But I say I try to stay away from drama, try to live my life as close to as right as I could possibly be. but yet drama seems to follow, and all these negative things seem to happen. Not to get into too much details, but our daughter moved out this weekend, and I mean, my grandson has been here ever since he was born. And anyway, she's gone back with the baby daddy, and he's about as worthless as everything in the world. But
Okay.
you know, that's, my wife and I are still, you know, trying to get over that. We've been crying. We know, you know, she's an adult. She can make her own decisions. She has to live her
Mhm.
life, but it's still very hard, especially when you practically raise this kid, and
Mhm.
you want your grandchildren to grow up right, and, you know, stay away from the partying and the fights and all that kind of stuff. Can't we can't do anything about it, but we need that reassurance that everything's going to be okay. What would you do to help us?
Well, because you did tell me that you are religious, I would start with saying pray about it.
Mhm.
He always has the answer. And then I would ask you, what are some things that we can put in place that can make you feel better or a little bit more comfortable with the situation that is out of your control?
And that's the hardest thing right now. You know, every little toy that we see around here, or
Mhm.
the cups, and, you know, the
Mhm.
little sippy cups,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. And I mean, even the little step stool that we got him, he
Yeah.
he liked to go in and help me in the kitchen. And
Mm.
he he always liked to wash his hands, because Papa washed his hands all the time. You know?
Mhm.
All
Mhm.
these things. And I mean, you're talking about every morning, when he got up, he'd be calling for Papa. And
Mm.
you know, before he'd go to bed at noon, or in the evening, I always got the hugs and kisses and night night Papa and all that. And it's hard to get those things out of my head.
Yeah. So is he gonna still be able to come by, or is she
he
far
they're
away?
they're about 3.5 4 hours away.
Oh no.
And so we're used to them being here.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so is that relationship healthy?
No.
Okay, so she'll be back soon.
That's my prediction. But
Mhm.
you know, and I know, say, she's an adult. And you know, I knew eventually she's gonna have to move out. I was just
Mhm.
hoping it'd be under better circumstances, and I think I'd
Right.
be a little more comfortable with that if things were different.
Well, you didn't tell me anything about really her. It's the baby that you're missing.
Well, I miss her, of course, but
Well, right. But so what I'm trying to say to you is that I don't think, even if it were a good circumstance, what you're missing is that him there day to day, them there day to day. You would miss that even if it was a better situation.
yeah, I mean, I would miss it. I guess I probably wouldn't be as sad as I am now, because I'm worried about the living conditions, you know. I mean, she's
So
a
do
good
you
mama.
think
She's a
you
good
would be
mama.
more at ease?
I'd be more at ease if it was a good guy she was with.
Yeah. Where you felt like somebody else could care for her the way you would care for her.
Hmm.
So would you say that you're in tuned with your emotions or disconnected?
Yeah, at times I feel like I'm disconnected.
Okay. So honestly, what I would say for you is being more in tune with your emotions. You can protect yourself a little bit more, but also know how to control them. Does that make sense?
Well, it makes sense, but the process for me is difficult. I've always been one to try to hide my emotions, and then when they do come out, they come out in fury.
Which is not fair. It's like I all of my guy clients have this. It's called the tea kettle pot, because you put all of them in this box and then you explode
Hmm.
versus just letting them out a little bit seep out little by little whenever something bothers you. I'm not saying every problem, but something that you feel like is a big deal, you speak on it. Use your voice. Let's say your wife said something or did something that wasn't nice. Instead of just walking away and letting it go in your subconscious like no big deal, you could come back and be like, that hurt my feelings because of this, or that made me feel like this. But if you don't know what's happening, if it's hurting your feelings, or if you're just upset or nervous, you don't know where to place those feelings or what responsibility they are. So you don't know how to address it or fix it. So they'll continue to be triggered. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Like my son, for instance, he is very nervous for school. So every morning his stomach is hurting, but it's from nervousness.
Right.
But he'll say, I don't feel good. Because he doesn't know that, no, my stomach doesn't really hurt. It's just that I'm having those little butterflies in my stomach because I'm getting anxious with school. And that's what's happening. I'm not really ill physically. It's just my emotions. So I'm trying to show him which ones is which. So he'll know, okay, I'm pissed off because you hit me in the face and that hurt. Or you didn't show up. You promised me something. So now my feelings are disappointed and hurt. You know what I'm saying? To be more emotionally available means, so you know what that emotion is, and then you can attach it to something, and then you can stop being around that or letting that happen to get hurt again.
And another thing that's kind of hurt my pride is my confidence, is the fact that I'm disabled now. I can't physically do the things that I used to be able to do. Okay. I can't walk a long distance. Usually, if we're going to do something that's going to take a lot of walking, I have to take the wheelchair. I mean, if it's not too much walking, I have to take my cane, but I'm still slow, and I feel like I'm holding people back. And when I have to stop and everybody wants to keep going, I'd feel less of a man. Let's put it that way. I was used to being the guy that went out and did the work and sweated all day and came back, and I was the man of the house, and I'm still the man of the house. My wife, she feels the same way I do about that, but I still can't help feeling the way I feel. And
how long were you working before you got hurt?
Oh my gosh. I worked over 30 something years. So.
Okay. So I think you did enough work to show that you are a man's man. Okay. You got hurt. That happens. That doesn't take away from your ambition or who you were or are. It's just they're different circumstances. So maybe that was him telling you that's not where I want you. And you weren't going to do it any other way.
I will say this, and I'm a big believer that, God has purpose for me, because there were several times in my life I should have died. But through his grace, I'm still here. And it's frustrating sometimes too, because I have I guess you call survivor's guilt, because my father's gone, my brother's gone, and yet I'm still here. I'm still going. So do
you know how God thinks of your thought process behind that?
No.
Because you just said in the same sentence that you're here for a reason, because he has a purpose for your life. But then you say you have guilt because they're all gone, but you're still here. What does that have to do with you? Their passings.
I don't know. My dad, both of them committed suicide.
I'm sorry.
And, I'm not going to lie. I tried a few times myself, and, just by chance, I was found in time and I'm still here.
Chance?
Yeah, because I thought I was alone.
No, not chance. God has a purpose.
Right.
You need to believe that. That's it. Don't let him creep into your brain and put these little unrealistic conversations in your brain.
Oh, that's another problem I have. I've got to fix.
Immediately. So what I start my clients for immediately when they come to me before first day, we meet to see if we are a good fit. Because sometimes, I'm not everybody's tea flavor, right? I'm a little more upfront. I tell people kind of it is what it is, and that's
Mhm.
my method. Like to move people along, I can't sugarcoat and pretend and
That's what I
act.
like.
I have to get down to what's the truth. This is what's
Mhm.
going on. Sometimes people don't like it, but they'll come back a week later and be like, you know what, Erica, I hated that, but you were right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that's not the purpose. I don't care about the prideful things. Pride will get you killed and hurt. That's not
Mhm.
what I'm worried about. What I'm worried about is you feeling better about you.
Right.
So we have to cut through some of this stuff to feel better about ourselves, because these masks that you're wearing are for your safety purposes. But let's
Okay.
figure out why we need to feel safe still, because you are in a safe space, right?
Right.
So I tell them to start paying attention to, it's a 28-day challenge. They say if you do it consistently for 28 days, you'll start to see it, your brain doing it on its own.
Mhm.
But what it simply is you change your thought process from negative thoughts to positive. So if you wake up and you sip your coffee, I mean, down to the simplest things, and you're like, oh shit, that's hot. Okay, good. But guess what? I still have a cup of coffee to at least drink.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying? So it's the
Mhm.
simple things, those little things like that matter, because those little ones, if it's always something negative or always a problem, that's just how your brain's going to operate. Everything's always going to be a problem.
Right.
Versus it's not that big of a deal. At least I have, or grateful for what it is. Right.
Mhm.
So start paying attention to how much of your thought process is down talking yourself or negative. And then when you realize that, you're going to be like, oh shit, I am kind of negative. Start changing that immediately with whatever you want to say. I can't walk long with my family, but I'm still here. I still get to have these memories. I get to still be in the picture. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So who cares that you can't walk 7 miles? I can't walk 7 miles and nothing's wrong with me. Like, who cares? That's nothing. We need to focus on what's still here. You can still hug and kiss your family. They can still love
It's
you,
true.
smell you, see you. That's what matters. Let's not pinpoint and focus on what doesn't and what we don't have. Let's focus on what we do and what we can be grateful for.
Now, might sound contradictory, but when I tell you that, like with the cookies and artwork and all that stuff, I like to hear that I've done a good job, and I got to hear it over and over again. But at the same time, when I'm dealing with fixing whatever problems I have, I don't want a yes man. I want somebody who's going to lay it down. I used to work for the city of LaPorte, and there was a supervisor there, and he was pretty gruff, and he didn't mind telling you what was on his mind. He didn't care if it pissed you off. He didn't care if you hated him. He was going to tell you like it was. And you know what? He was actually my favorite person there, because
Mm,
when I screwed up, he told me, you need to get things straight here, and this, you need to change this, you need to change that. That's what I needed. And I
mm-hmm,
appreciated
mm-hmm.
that. So, I know there's going to be folks out there, they want somebody to, give them a participation trophy.
Yeah. I'm definitely not that. Even my spouse is like, you never give me an award. No, not for things that are normal. I'll give you a reward for things that are abnormal, something to talk about. And I do that because I can never satisfy his need for
Mhm.
validation without him doing it for himself.
Right, right.
I can tell him like you said, your wife tells you every time everybody loves the cookies. Everybody just ate them so quickly. But again, the next time your batch comes, again, you have to hear it again. Versus you knowing it internally, like, I know my cookies are good. This is my gift. This is what I'm good at. You don't need to hear it from no one else. Like I said, it's nice to hear. Everybody loves compliments, but it's a difference from wanting and needing.
Right. So I've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. So no what? But that's okay. And the fact is that you are acknowledging it. Some
Right.
people don't even acknowledge it or know it's an issue, and that's where you can't even do anything there. right? The fact that you even know there you need to do some work, you're already on the right path.
Well, like I said, you keep bringing in that positivity and motivation into this world, because I got a good vibe off of you, and
Oh, thank you.
I really appreciate what you've done for me today. And do you have a website that people can go to?
Yes, my website, they can find everything. My Instagram, I do daily posts or little tools to help people feel better about themselves. But my website is www.livingandlovinglife.us.
Okay, livingandlovinglife.us.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to put the links to those in the description so people can click to it and go to you. And really, thank you for your time. Thank you for
Absolutely.
the words of wisdom that you brought me today. And blessings to you and your family.
Same to you. And you know what? Start patting yourself on the back some more. You deserve it.
Well, thank you. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It means a lot. But unfortunately, we're at the end of the show. And so I want to let everyone know, if you are new to the channel, thank you for stopping by. And I hope you'll come back. Please subscribe. And if you're a regular, thank you for your support. It's because of you that we do what we do. And so until the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network